Yeah, let's get it. All right. So, welcome. This is a.K.aye, and you are in the Ginsong Era Podcast episode dose. All right. So, to my right, I got
Amulit.
We got Lax the monk.
and our topic today is
Creative process.
the creative process. So, we had a Q&A from some folks. We had 3 people, but those 3 people are the real ones, and we'll shout you out once we ask them questions. Speaking of questions, we're going to start it off with something light. We're going to have what's called a check-in question, and this check-in question is going to be, if you were to have superpowers, what would it be? What would your strengths be, and what would be your weakness? Starting with Lex.
Shit, that's a hard one, bro. Superpowers, man.
Yeah, this should be a fun one, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll probably choose like I want to fly, probably.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
What would be your weaknesses, and what would be your strengths?
My weakness would probably be my heart, bro. You have to have heart, man. You have to have kindness. You know when they say I have a soft spot, or I have a they take my kindness for weakness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's my weakness right there. Be a real superhero, man.
Definitely. So that would be the strength and the weakness, I take it? Like a double entendre?
Yeah.
I like that one. Yeah. So off to my right, Amulet, what would yours be?
I think Lex took my fly one. But when I was young, I used to have these dreams where I feel like I'm flying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was one of the things that popped up in my head. But I think I'm gonna go with duplicating myself. Ooh. Like be able to duplicate.
Okay.
And then just being
about immortality. You want to live forever?
Yeah, I'll probably do the duplicating first.
Okay.
That way, that you know what I mean. I feel like that could lead to that.
Definitely. I feel like immortality could be a very grim superpower, but depends how it's utilized. Depends how it's portrayed, you know. What would your weakness be, though?
I think I have a few, but nothing's surfacing right now.
If you could name one off top, what would it be?
So I don't even know if it's a weakness, but I overcommit to a lot of things, which I'm trying to learn to not do. I'm trying to learn how to say no, because I usually just try to go all out a lot.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
That could definitely be a vice right there, you know. I know off top, if my weakness could be anything, it would be to overindulge, because I tend to go a little bit overboard. I could be over the top. I could overreact to things, but that's why I also play a cool head, which also could be my strength. And if I had any superpower, I think it would be the ability to build anything within a rapid succession, because I feel like that could be very useful in different settings, and I like having those kind of odds with me. And yeah, those are the questions, man. We ready for our first question?
Let's dive.
All right, we will dive. So we're gonna go ahead with our first question, and we got one from Bobby O.
Bobby.
So Bobby's question was, what inspired you to be the person you are today, and how was that making music impacting to you?
Okay.
Yeah.
So shout outs to Bobby.
That's
my man, a.K.aye. I think it's the music, bro. Since I was little, you know what I mean? I've been making music on and off, and it's finding my passion. And also, I think being in the military also helped me develop skills that I can apply to my day-to-day life. And I think being a part of the Global Beat Cypher as well helped me to become better at what I do, and in terms of making beats, because I thought I was really good at making beats until I joined the community, and heard everybody's beats, I was like, oh shit, they're way better than me. And so that kind of like helped me grow. You know what I mean? Like when you're making
man.
beats by yourself, and then you share it to people, and then the like-minded people would play their own beats. It's like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do that. Like that's crazy.
That's funny.
Especially when you have a sample pack that is curated for everybody. So everybody has to make a sample pack, a beat off of that sample pack, and then you'll notice like what they done to the sample. It's like, oh shit, this motherfucker chopped it up real bad and just kind of like played it as if it's an instrument.
Oh yeah, like they flip it in different ways, which is like insane. I'm like, dang, you guys like really went over the top. And as much as it's like, like sometimes it could be in a competitive format, it's also in a way where we all pick brains too, which is the beauty of it. So, yeah. Amulit, what's your answer to this question?
I'm gonna say in general terms, is probably a lot of the adversities and, trials and tribulations I went through up until now, or the last few years, that inspires me to be, or to keep pushing, right, to persevering, especially through the music part. Primarily on the MC end, and it's also working with others that inspires me too, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like I think writing and that serves me too. But then once I start collaborating, and it's just that's a whole nother notch that inspires me. Because when you see when Lax is in his element, when you're in your element, I'm like, I gotta stay in my element, to keep on progressing. That's what inspires me.
My answer to Bobby's question is to be a creative in this day and age, especially in this day in my age, means that I feel like I have that superpower where I could manifest something and it becomes reality. And I feel like godlike in a way. Not to sound kind of like weird like that, but that's how I feel. Like it's very like what brings out my strengths, because I have a very overreactive imagination and I like seeing things come together and come to life, and those kind of things bring me joy. So that's pretty much what inspired me to be the person I am, and what brings my intelligence coming from, I believe, the left side of the brain, if that's where our creativity stems from, is that particular area. Y'all ready for the next question?
Hold on, let's check how much time we got before we take a break.
Oh yeah.
We got 1 minute left.
1 minute left.
Talk your shit, man.
So we got a music video out called "Everything Goes Over" on the Gintong Era YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Help run our numbers up. Shot by the homegirl Kiana.
At the Keeks.
Directed by Gintong Era, and it's available now to watch, and we'll be hopefully streaming the song soon, but you could enjoy the visuals in the meantime.
Gintong Era.
Glad for you guys to join us if you are still here. And shout out to Scratch Fight. So,
Scratch Fight.
Our next question is going to be from one of us. And this question is, where do you feel your creativity comes from? And I could start that off.
Yeah, start that off.
Mine comes from trauma that I faced growing up, but also from always wanting to create, always being inspired from both listening to music when I was a kid, always wanting to rap, lip syncing to lyrics on the radio, and just kind of imitate that same kind of swagger. kind of manifesting like, yeah, I want to be that person, even though there's been that voice in the head being like, nah, that can't happen, but it's happening and we're making it happen. So that is where my creativity stems from and why I am an artiste.
So for me, I think it comes from just listening to music, right? Like even like not just popular music, but also like underground shit like you've never heard before.
Oh, definitely.
What else? I think I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't really know, bro.
Yeah.
I could say I could say that's part of my answer too, like not fully knowing, and I think that's also part of where it is, right? Like not having the answer to everything and wanting to discover it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
sometimes if you don't have all the resources, history to get the answers like that, even though we got technology, sometimes we got to get creative with it. And I think that's a lot where, especially for when I'm writing, I think it's about how do I want to be authentically myself and own my own narrative and tell my story. You know what I mean? The way I feel comfortable doing it. Because like even when I write, I don't want to tell everyone every single detail, but I might do it in a way, such a creative way where I'm changing the meaning of words. I'm hitting them with entendres, whatever rhetoric it may be. That way I could feel comfortable telling something I'm not normally comfortable saying in like everyday conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for the next question?
Let's
All
go.
right. Next one. All right. This is going to be a funny one, all right? I'm going to give you guys a choice between one or two. Starting with Amulit. One or two? Two? What about you, Lex?
One.
One? All right. You guys got a Rochambeau then.
What do you mean?
I'm serious, Rochambeau.
Oh, who goes first?
Yeah.
All right.
They always go for the scissors, bro.
All right, so we'll go with one, and this is from Philip Drummond.
Shouts to Philip Drummond.
Shout out
Yeah.
Philip Drummond. Shout out TFS. Who is your biggest influence producer-wise?
Everybody in the Global Beat Cipher. 100%.
Okay.
We got Soul City. We got DJ Static. Who else? DJ Prominent. Donnell Smokes. Matty J. Works. Everybody who participated in the Global Beat Cipher. And Philip Drummond, of course.
Shout outs TFS. All right, Amulet. Who you got?
Producer wise or lyricist wise?
You know,
I follow
for
more
your
on the
section-
lyricism. I'm accepting. Yeah.
No, because we've never really picked brains like about lyricism. So lyricism wise,
So I don't have like an all time, but like right now I'm big on substance on like as far as topics, and I'm big on like Phil Am rappers right now.
okay.
So I'm following on Talilo's music, so dope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just that's currently right. But there's so many others. So that's kind of the era I'm in right now.
I feel that, especially in this day and age where I always feel like, especially as a.K.aye Filipinos, it's always good to have like folks you could look up to that kind of have the same background, same struggle as us. I'm gonna cover both production and rhymes. Rhymes wise, one of my biggest influences is Chuck D from Public Enemy, because growing up listening to rap and being mostly exposed to the gangster image, kind of staying away from it and getting into rock music, and then also wanting to hear music that's on a more like something more of substance. I think listening to Public Enemy was a gateway for me, and then listening to Dead Prez, Paris, and then later along the lines, listening to the likes of Native Guns, Kiwi, Bamboo, Blue Scholars, Prometheus Brown. Those kind of artists like really inspired me to want to create political lyrics, but when I hear people like Kid Cudi, I hate to say Kanye West because I told, Amulit in the car, like, I'm the biggest Kanye hater ever. But he also opened the way for like Backpack to become accessible. So yeah, like I would say those, or Tribe Called Quest actually would be another one for me. And this is also what goes into the musical side because I'm highly influenced by a lot more soulful kind of stuff like Alicia Heed Muhammad. I would say even Adrian Young in regards to just jazz. Robert Glasper, Jay Dilla, MF Doom's production, and then how abstract he was on lyrics. But I think my go-to in regards to producer-wise and what showed me how being different is a possibility is Flying Lotus and that whole Los Angeles and even up here NorCal beat scene where I could just be my own authentic weird self and have people vibe with that. So that's pretty much my answer in a nutshell. We over here redoing a podcast right now. Myself, we got Amulit, we got Lax the Monk out here. ERP, what's good? Man, sit them ways and get wavy with it. What's good, Brian? We're in between, like, taking breaks in between segments. So if you guys have questions in regards to what our creative process is, we covered a few things, but if you guys want to help us dive deep into it, you guys are more than welcome to. Are we recording right now? Oh yeah, so we're recording. So we are continuing off of what are the thoughts, the feelings with the creative process, and we are continuing off of Lax. So whenever you're ready, brother man.
Creative process?
The creative process, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions.
Okay, so it depends on the sample for me. Like if I choose a sample and then I throw drums on top of it, I have to actually kind of like build up on it. And then as soon as I build up on it, I try to like expand and amplify the feeling of the beat. That's pretty much it.
Definitely. So, and like you feel like it matches you try to match the emotion or the intensity when it comes to like the beats, right?
Oh yeah, you have to match it. Like if it's a wild beat and it's it makes you feel energetic, you actually have to match that feeling to actually get the vibe, because music is all about vibes, man. Sometimes you don't even care what people say on the beat, right? That's why we have like mumble rappers. But the beat sounds good and it feels good.
Oh yeah. Like I know for one thing is like, man, when I first seen you on the finger drumming tip, and I was like, man, I was just blown away by the intensity that this guy brings. And what was it? When I booked you the second time around, or when I booked you the first time around, actually, over at Beat Frequency Oscillator, it was a funny thing because homie was like, can you have him go for 40 minutes? I was like, I don't know. This guy has a lot of energy when it comes to what he does on the MPC Live. That 40 minutes, man, you're basically asking for somebody to run on a treadmill for an hour, at like a 6 miles per hour kind of speed, or 6 speed, or whatever the case may be. But that 20 minutes, he takes you on a trip, you're on a ride. It's like going on a roller coaster and then dropping down for that amount of time. And that's the best way I could explain like the feeling, the intensity when I see like a lot of Lax's beat sets.
Yeah, it's very captivating. I think I think I share that same sentiment. Should I go into it, or you go?
Oh no, go for it. Yeah.
I'm gonna speak in context to the writing process because that's primarily where I go. If I'm writing without having a beat at first, it usually it's like what happens first is I'm probably either reading something or I have there's like a topic or subject I want to like talk more about, that I want to express myself about, and it's really not to stay in that feeling that I have about it, but more so to get out of that feeling or idea that I have about something. That's why I write, to like explore my thoughts and opinions, and you know what I mean, on it, and that way it gets out of that. And then for me, what that does is like it's liberating.
Definitely.
Right? To go through all that, and then, or when I go through writer's block, I'm like, after like, 6 bars, I'm like, oh shit, I don't got none. And I'm learning now to just freaking step back. Like we had that talk that one day, step back, go about, do something, and then they'll just come back again. And that's on some instances. But then on the, let's say Lax sends me a beat, and then it's just fire, right? And then I write that vibe, and it's like, okay, shit, there is no block at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes the beat has to have that bounce too, right? Like you just kind of like want to write and
right.
Like this fool, I don't know what your creative process is, but this guy can write a full verse in like 10 minutes.
I was witness to that when we did Money. What was that when we did Money Bag?
Yeah.
The Money Bag. I already had my verse ready, and I was like, "You ready?" We just like laced up next phase.
Oh yeah.
And then I said Money Bag, and then he's like, boom.
I was able to like tackle it because I write pretty quick, and I come up with like some pretty fire stuff on the fly, and that's just from like years of experience like doing music. But I think for me, it's just what's something that I would want to hear that I would be like, did I make that? You know, like that's basically what I have in mind, or especially when it comes to beats. And I always have somebody ask me, "Oh, did you make that beat?" The if it's not my beat and it's something I really like, I'll just tell them, "Man, I wish that was me." So those are the kind of things that I have in mind when it comes to creativity and the creative process.
Oh, I'm gonna add another part, side dish.
Yeah, go for it.
What I'll also do is I'll just listen to beats, some instrumentals that then I'll write to those. It's weird, right? I'll write to one until I get the block, and I'll go to the next instrumental, and then let that instrumental take over.
Oh, nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until I get another beat or whatever. So you send another one, and I'll see if it's still like, if I feel like it's transferable. And then I'll be like, then I'll make the adjustments later as far as like the filler words or the cadence. But yeah, that's how I go like default sometimes. If I need inspiration, I'll just listen to multiple beats and then freaking write to all of them.
Yeah.
It's weird, huh?
Yeah, no, because it's like I'm surprised how quick you're the pace at where you work too, like writing wise. And I'll be like, man, gives me a run for my money where I'm like, okay, like I either need to take my time with this or I need to tackle it. It could be one or the other, but I always want to deliver quality over quantity. So that's another like thing that I look at when it comes to like creativity. Other than that, we ready for the next question? Creativity. All right. So the next question that we got is from the homie Fugwell.
Shouts to Fugwell.
And here's the crazy thing. Definitely. So the crazy thing is we are all MPC users. We're all beat makers. And we all use MPCs. So the question from Fugwell is, what did we use before? Well, I know for Lax, it was MPC Live. I'm on the MPC one. And Amulit is also on the MPC one as well.
Disclaimer, I'm a newbie.
Okay.
But I think I'm in good hands here. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
But yeah,
got you.
I'm going to be learning on the MPC one. So my thing is collecting a little dust, but I'm going to definitely clean that off.
So, like, I guess the question is, did you use any other, like, any DAW or any other kind of software or anything making beats? Or, like, I think I would even extend to say anything you played musically that got you into making beats, or did you get on the MPC right from the get-go?
I tried, like, on the keys, on MIDI keyboards for a little bit. But when I saw the standalone, I was like, oh, okay. I think that's where I want to try to learn.
Definitely.
Probably in Logic, I think Logic Pro.
Logic, yeah, it's the way to go. I still have yet to get Logic. Like the actual program that I'm using for recording is my DAW that I originally started with, which is FL Studio, and I started on FL9 back in 2006. And that's when I started making beats. Before that, I used to have, I'm totally blanking out on what kind of keyboard it was, whether it was a Korg or a Roland. And I would be making beats off of that. I would just be playing just stuff that I would have in my head. And I do live sets on is actually GarageBand. And people have seen me do live sequences with stems that I find on there. And I'm making my own sound. So it's crazy. I treat it like it's like jazz, and I'm jamming out to these tracks. So it's pretty. It's if you ever get the chance to see me do that, go on the MPC from my live set, or even play off my SP555 with the live synths, or I use all three of them at once. You guys are in for a treat because I don't do or replicate the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I had the MPC Live. Before that, I had the MPCX, and then the Machine MK3. Before the MK, is it MK3 or MK2?
We're talking for the SP?
The Machine from Native Instruments.
I only know of two versions for the Machine, but
Yeah, it must be the two. Because the recent one is the Plus, right? They came out with the Plus. It's like a standalone beat machine.
It is. I think I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had that. Before that, I was using a MIDI controller. I was finger drumming on that. For the MIDI controller, I used to have the MV Roland 8000, the big one.
Okay.
And then before that one, it was just basically a mouse and a keyboard. And then before that, way back, was a cassette tape. And before the cassette tape, this is how I really got started making beats. It's a video game, a PlayStation video game.
Oh, what? Okay.
It's called the Music Maker or something like that.
Oh shit! I think I see.
Yeah. So it just has loops, right? And so you take all these loops and you make a game. It's a game, and then you just make a beat off of those loops.
Oh yeah.
And that's how it really got started.
It's a trip too because which PlayStation are we talking about? Are we talking one?
PlayStation 1, I think.
Oh man, so that's way back.
Yeah, that's way back.
Yeah. You know what's a trip is I got a homie that does he uses like the games from like his Game Boy. It has like that 8-bit sound where he does like live sets based off of that, which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
So he's playing the music through the Game Boy, and then
so he has multiple Game Boys, and he's like playing off of different ones. It's pretty crazy, man. Like it's a pretty cool. It's like it's a rare occasion to see him like play him because he's mostly playing in bands as a bass player. But when you see him play with the Game Boys and stuff, it's like your inner child gets tapped in, and you're like, man, this reminds me of when I used to get down on the NES, you know? So, yeah, shout outs to Smooth Alligator. Yeah.
That's pretty creative.
Yeah. So, other than that, yeah. That concludes the MPC's question. All right. So, this is the one. I always have to ask, like, those tough questions because this is the one I just came up with on the fly.
All right, we're good.
We're going to finish strong.
All right. So, the question is, what limitations and challenges do you face as a creative?
Ooh, I'm gonna just throw this out just before I forget.
Okay, go for it, man.
As far as like writing or rapping, I think one of my limitations is when I'm trying to write too much of what I think I have, as opposed to like maybe sitting back and listening more, whether it be like, to other things, right? Because that's where you get inspiration to when you hear other ideas, thoughts on things, or even other folks rapping or whatever and whatnot. So that's my limitation. If I try to zone that out, that could be a limitation for me in some instances. So yeah, not listening enough can be one of my limitations.
Yeah, I would say the same. When it comes to making beats, because it's easy to add more stuff to your beats and then ruin it afterwards. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself like, okay, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like you have to have that discipline to stop and move on to the next one. Also, like having your gear set up, I think really helps you get started. Like if it's all connected to the speakers and all you have to do is press a button to turn the machine on. all you can you can start making beats right away versus like if you have an idea and then you're trying to get it out as soon as possible. You have to turn the computer on. You have to wait for the software to boot up and then plug in your MIDI controller. It takes a lot of time, and sometimes it's kind of like discouraging to start making beats. And I think getting your equipment set up right away and just leaving it like ready to go, it definitely helps you get started. But yeah, same limitations for me.
You know, it's a trip is that I have a crazy story about when I experienced some crazy technical issues, and this was back, I want to say 2014, 2015. So I had a Asus computer, and I was running Adobe Premiere, and I was at the tip of doing music videos and all that. I was working on 2 music videos at the time. There was one called Hunger Games, which is a track I used to perform all the time back in those days with the Rap Nerd. Shout out to him.
Rap Nerd. What's up, brother? Hope you're watching this.
Yeah,
that's my man. He
that's
was
the homie.
mentor
Yeah, and then another one was from another homie by the name of Magic MC from San Gabriel Valley, and I was directing his song Too Dope. So we got great footage and everything for both of these great songs. But what happened was during an event where I happened to have the hard drive in the bag, I think something went on where I forgot this stuff, and eventually it got lost where I couldn't find it anymore, and I had to tell both of them, like, the files have been lost, and I don't know, I didn't back up any of it. The person that helped out with the camera work also didn't do it, and I'm not gonna lie, I was devastated that I lost those and all this music that I had saved on that hard drive. Did it make me want to quit? No, but it also made me develop this mentality where if I could create something dope, I could probably make something doper. So it's funny how, I don't know if you got, like when you guys work on your softwares, your DAWs, and all of a sudden, bam, it goes crashing. You know what I mean? And you're like, you don't hit Command Save or Control Save, whatever the hotkeys are, and you're like, man, I worked so hard on it, and it didn't save it. I take it as a sign, hey, man, if I could do it once, I could do it again. It may not be the same, but it's about how you go through the continuation, the struggle of that process, and really, that's really the way to go. Because sometimes we forget to save stuff. You know, it's simple. We get caught in the moment. It gets too good, but that's basically what I wanted to share right there, man.
One thing I'll never do, which I did ended up doing before, I don't remember why, but I ended up like throwing away one of my composition books where it was like basically full, because I was probably going through some personal stuff, and I learned that to not ever do that again, because whether or not I end up recording them later or whatnot, it's just a way to reflect, to go back and, you know what I mean, and to make sure I'm not like always rapping the same things, or, you know what I mean, saying same bars all the time, or like, you know what I mean. Yeah, just
sometimes you can recycle those, right? And they just kind of
saying.
like edit those and change the words, and
I do
instead of throwing it away.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just made me think about that. So I'm not gonna do that again. Make sure I'm gonna find a way to save it all the time.
Actually, you know what? I just had a question that popped out in my mind, and I think this is an interesting curveball question. Is how do you guys avoid making something repetitive or constantly challenge yourself? Like, what's something that you feel like you guys do, like as artists, to like kind of one up like your skills and take it to the next level?
Yeah, I think not doing the same thing twice in a row, right? Let's say you make a beat, at least for me, right? When I'm making a beat, let's say I make a chill beat, and then the next time, if I decide to make another chill beat, I'm gonna have to like change the rhythm, change the probably the tempo, the key, and everything like that. Like I don't want to like keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's like with finger drumming too. I think especially when you're creating a beat set, you don't want to have just like one rhythm every single time because I think the crowd will get bored. At least for me. Yeah, and just changing up the rhythm.
I mean, what was in my mind as soon as I heard the question? It has to do with like, I noticed something I tend to do, especially on Lax's beats, is get on hella quick without listening to the whole beat first. Like these two last beats that we got, right? I really had to freaking just slow down, or like not even just write first, just listen to it, because I would get on right there, right when as soon as it played, and I realized that I shouldn't have got on too early because there was a part where where the drums go out, or one. Yeah, just to listen more first. To listen maybe one or two times as opposed to just, starting off too strong. Especially if I already have the verse ready. For example, on one, I already had a verse. I could have just, you know what I mean? Just listen to the beat and find where I'm going to enter. And I found that, I found like the right spot to start. So that way I could focus more on my breath control.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So now I'm learning now after one EP and then the project we were working on. Now I know, I know my strengths. I could deliver substance, content, but now it's gonna be a matter of when we actually perform live. I gotta be ready for my breath because I can go off and then forget that I stop breathing, I start salivating, or I start choking up, and I'm just like, okay, that's an entry point for me to work on. So now I know my strengths and now I could focus on other things. But yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. So we're taking a quick pause. What's up to the 2 million? We've had a lot of people come in. So we had Il Gibran, a.K.aye Brown Lotus. Joel actually just joined us.
Hey.
Shout out Kyle from Peace. No QM or non-QM. Yeah. Mike Long. Okay. And then Ali Art. Yeah, shout outs. 1 million viewers. It's all good. But yeah, man. I think for me, like, I would say my biggest criticism that I take to heart, one, I don't like being predictable and I don't want to be typecasted, and I hate when people say like that my stuff is pretty redundant, because it makes me seem like I'm a boring person, and I don't want to seem like that. The truth is, I like to create different things because I like the soul, the essence of what that thing brings, the energy, and I want to like copy that energy or like create it into something that's my own, you know what I mean? So, usually when people like say like, or typecast me, it's just like, I have a lot more to offer than what you perceive me as. And this is just my younger days, and whenever I felt like people thought I stick to one thing. Nah. Like, dude, I'm all over the place. I have like an attention span that's pretty small, and I like to at least be able to create something that surprises people, especially, man. I love always messing with people constantly and telling them, like, yeah, I could create a house beat. I can even make a deep house beat. I can make a footwork beat. I can make a drum and bass beat. Or I could make a country song. You know what I mean? Definitely. Replication of successful business. But what they say is imitation is a form of flattery. I do that, but I also like to create it into my own identity as well. And yeah, that's what's gotten me to be the creative I am today, for sure. And why I got ranges for days. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we went through all the questions. Huh?
We did, and then some, man, and then some.
I was gonna add on to. I was following what you were saying. I haven't got those critiques because I'm early. I'm new to this, right? I guess, or whatever, or like I'm not out there. But like no one's told me like, oh, you're this, you're that, whatever. I've gotten compliments and I appreciate those too. And I've gotten tips on like recording in certain ways, and I appreciate those too. But like, I do know that at this point on the journey that I'm doing this. I'm trying to, like we said on the last one, I'm writing and I'm making the music that I want to, that serves me first.
Right. Yeah. You never want to do it for other people, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you want this to sustain, you have to do it for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the liberating part, right? Like I said earlier, going back to the other question, I do it because it's liberating for me. It's self-expression, and I know this is where I bring one of my most authentic self. So for me to get out of that, just to appease someone else's perceived perception of me, it would just be out of pocket for myself. Like I wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, I guess when I get to that part of the road, I'll try to be more mindful of it. But for now, I'm just gonna keep telling the story the way I see it.
You need feedbacks too, man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know, when you think of levels and things you can't hear, you're always looking for constructive criticism as well. So
For sure, that's exactly what you want.
yeah, so it's always good, especially if you trust in their opinion and what you can do to make it doper. Sometimes, like, it's always good to have like an extra set of ears to lean on and be like, all right, this is what it is.
That's really hard to do too, to accept feedbacks, like constructive feedbacks, because a lot of people, they have ego, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to take away that ego and be aware of that ego and take in what the other person is saying and analyze, is this true? Like if it's true, then maybe I need to change it up a little bit. Not just kind of like, be in your own world.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've received feedback like that before about like the way I was on a bar or a track. But I also look at it as like I didn't take offense to it. I remember the way I felt about it was like, well, I appreciate it, but at the same time, I don't think I put enough product or stuff out there enough to show like what I'm going to be capable of. So in a way, that's what's allowing me to be able to accept feedback, because I don't think I've really reached that. I feel still I got hella more verses to deliver, more experience to build with y'all, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. So anything that's going to be said, I'm like, okay, I'll put that on the next one then. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't done that. I'm going to use that for the next one. But as for now, it's like I'm going to primarily focus on the way I feel I authentically give it, and then I'll work with the critiques or feedback suggestions after.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, as much as we could cover more stuff, I feel like have to be more questions for another day. Because I know we gotta kind of like put we definitely gotta like close out. But I guess like in regards to the creative process, what are like if you could give advice to your younger self aspiring to be a creative, or even to our aspiring creatives or our fellow peers that we have over here, just creativity wise, words of inspiration, whoever want to start first? Yeah.
Always stay consistent. Always get started on something. Do everything for you. You know what I mean? Always try to learn from other people. Get your ego out of the way and just enjoy the process. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I got one. I would have told my younger self, like particularly with the music, to go find a community to do it with. That was I said on the last episode, right? Like I would do it when I was behind the walls, but then when I would get out, I would go back to what I was doing. I would tell myself, I'll say, take that composition book, go find some folks and connect with them. But keep in mind, this was pre-Facebook. This was pre all the social platforms.
Yeah.
So I think, I would just say go find a community and share it and do it.
You guys like took all the words that I was gonna say that I gotta recalibrate. No, I'm just kidding. But no, like I think always constantly stay inspired. Always find inspiration in the least expected place where you could find inspiration, because you never know what you can come up with creatively. And that's actually where I kind of create things where I'm like, how did I even come up with that? So if a magician never reveals his secrets, I'm gonna be that masked magician that used to be on Channel 2, revealing all the secrets that all the magicians do, and let y'all know that it's possible. But this is also applicable to everyday life, and why we have these kind of talks and all these sessions and stuff is really, there's a magic to everything. Whenever you think about limitations, dude, like, it's really on you how much work you are willing to put in order to see through it. You know what I mean? So all those wise words, all those wise sayings, that's pretty much what we have in a nutshell. Wise words, proverbs, all that. But yeah.
Problems.
But that's our podcast.
Sir.
Yeah.